covering news where you live. This is 5 News.
Well, thank you for joining us here today for the latest news and weather where you live. I'm Jo Ellison. First, today, we know police in Oklahoma have now arrested a 15-year-old boy in connection to a deadly shooting at an Oklahoma football game. That teen was arrested on Wednesday in the Oklahoma City suburb of Spencer, Oklahoma. This is according to Tommy Johnson III, the Oklahoma County Sheriff. And because the suspect is a teen, the boy's name is not being released at this time, though officials leading the investigation say they are not seeking out any other suspects. Kelly Marshall, the Choctaw police chief, says she's confident they have the prime suspect in custody. She also says there's a whole lot more of the investigation that needs to be done. Meanwhile, we should know sometime early next month who will be the 2024 Arkansas Teacher of the Year. And a Fort Smith teacher has a chance to win that award. 4th and 5th grade literacy teacher at Orr Elementary School, Nicole Franklin, was recently named the Fort Smith Teacher of the Year. She is in her 16th year in education. She says being named State Teacher of the Year would mean she could be an even bigger help to her colleagues at Orr.
We observe each other all the time, and we try to learn from each other and take things that we can take back to our own classrooms. So if I were able to do that on a larger scale, I could impact so many more kids through their teachers. So I feel like it would just help. And that's what I want to do. I love helping kids be successful.
Well, the winner of the Arkansas Teacher of the Year will move on to the national competition next year. And the University of Arkansas received a grant to expand research on a new type of prosthetics. On Tuesday, the Institute for Integrative and Innovative Research received almost $5 million from the Department of Defense to expand a clinical trial focusing on hand prosthetics. They are currently developing technology to allow people who lost limbs to regain feeling and sensations back in their hands. The prosthetic essentially connects to a patient's nervous system wirelessly. This grant allows them to expand their trials to an additional site.
It started with the Iraq War. The whole concept started with our servicemen returning from the Iraq War and with the thought of giving them restoring sensation for them. So it is so fitting that now we have a partner in the Walter Reed National Military Medical Center, the best in the world for care of our servicemen and women. So those who have lost a limb, this will now become part of the clinical trial at that site.
Well, Dr. Jung there says that lots of potential candidates are veterans, but anyone missing an arm or hand is eligible. All right, before we get to other news, let's get a check of that weather with meteorologist Zach Scott. Happy Thursday, Zach.
Hey, happy Thursday to you, Joe. Getting close to a holiday weekend, an extended weekend for many of you out there. Temperatures for Labor Day, they're going to be going up some. We're also going to bump up that humidity. For today, we've actually brought temperatures down a degree or so from where we've been through most of the work week. We've taken the humidity down just a little smidge, but we'll be increasing all of that as we go, especially by Saturday, Sunday into the first half of next week. But still not like the heat wave we had a week ago. We're looking at 80s to low 90s across the area. Plenty of sunshine, east breeze 5 to 10 miles per hour. Again, it's warm out there with all that August sun, but it's not as hot as it was. And again, the humidity outside certainly making it more tolerable. We're looking at temperatures dropping down into the 50s and low 60s as we go overnight into Friday morning. Should be our cooler morning. Then we'll start to bump them back up a little bit more 60s through the weekend. Again, humidity's low, so it's comfortable outside, as comfortable as you can be with this August sun, and the highs in the 80s and 90s. And then as we get into Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, the humidity goes up, more moisture in the air. So not only is it going to be warmer and muggier, but with more moisture in the air, Joe, at least you get the chance back for an afternoon thunderstorm, and we have been drying out a little bit. So if we can get some scattered showers, I know over the holiday weekend, but into next week, we could take it if we can get it.
All right, thanks for that, Zach. Well, excavation wrapped up yesterday at an archaeological dig site in rural Washington County. We spoke with the archaeologists working on the dig back in June, and since then they tell us they've discovered much more about the ancient structures and the people who once lived there. The site was discovered as part of a routine survey before RDOT began expansion on Highway 112 near Fayetteville. Because of its significance, RDOT brought in Commonwealth Heritage Group of Memphis to conduct a full-scale excavation. The senior archaeologist Jack Rosen tells us over the past few months, they've found artifacts and structures that are thousands of years old.
There's a lot of sites with a lot of artifacts out there. But for us to have the remains of structural posts and floors and hearths is fairly unusual, that we can really understand what the settlement looked like.
Well, although the dig wrapped up, Rawson says this is only the beginning for his team. They'll take their findings back to Memphis for analysis, and he expects to learn even more in the lab than they did on site. After the artifacts are preserved, RDOT can move forward with construction as planned. Well, thank you for joining us here today for the latest news and weather where you live. I'm Jo Ellison. We'll see you right back here tomorrow.